Okay. So I'd like to welcome everyone to the regular August meeting of the Union Township Planning Commission. And we will start, as we always do, with the Pledge of Allegiance. So if we can have our flag, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'm going to give us an 86 for unity or in syncness on that. Not perfect, but better than the previous one. All right. So roll call, please.
Albrecht,
Here, Union Township, Isabella County.
Buckley,
Here, Union Township, Isabella County.
Darren,
Here, Union Township, Isabella County.
Fuller,
Present, Union Township, Isabella County.
Lapp,
Here, Union Township, Isabella County.
LaBelle,
Here, Union Township, Isabella County.
Shingles. Did you say he was excused? Okay. Squatrito
Present, City of Mount Pleasant, Isabella County.
and Thering is excused.
Okay, thank you. All right, next item is approval of agenda. And you got an updated agenda, which has an additional item under 6, which is D, appointments to Sidewalks and Pathways. It was pointed out that under new business, let's see, where is it? No.
Under other business.
Mine doesn't have anything. Oh, yeah. No, it doesn't have anything.
Oh, it must be the version that was on the website.
Yes, correct.
Okay. Yeah, no, I'm looking at the one from my packet.
Okay.
So if some versions have it and some versions don't, then which version is operative?
I would suggest that we simply note that that there is no other business. And that
Okay.
will-
Yeah, some versions list the zoning ordinance as other business in case we didn't finish it last week, but we finished it last week. So there's not going to be any other business unless anyone else has any other business. So assuming that there's nothing currently listed under other business, is there anything else that anyone is aware of that needs to be on tonight's agenda? If not, then I would entertain a motion to approve the agenda as it exists, as in terms of the updated version that Rodney sent around to us.
I'll make that motion.
I'll
Motion is
second.
by Darren with a second by Lapp to approve the agenda as prepared, as presented. Any further discussion? If not, all in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? All right, I heard none opposed, so I am going to declare that that motion passed. Next item is approval of minutes. So we do have the minutes from our August 10th meeting, the special meeting. Those were in the packet. I would point out that, and they look basically fine to me, but I would point out that under other business, the motion that was ultimately made, it says supported to set a public hearing date. It really should say a public hearing date of September 21st. Because that's our next regularly scheduled meeting. So if that addition could be made to those minutes.
So I need to change the motion to support a public hearing September 21st. Is that how it should read?
Yeah, just
Okay.
just insert of September 21st between date and 4.
Okay.
But yeah, I think, I mean, I haven't gone back and looked at the recording, but I'm pretty certain that we specified that it was going to be at our next meeting. So I think we just want that mentioned in the minutes.
Okay.
Does anybody have any other corrections or additions or anything with regard to the August 10th meeting minutes? If not, then I would entertain a motion to approve the August 10th minutes as amended.
So moved.
Support.
Okay, so that was moved by Fuller, is that right?
Yes.
And the support was by Buckley, is that right? I was looking down, so I'm going by ear. All right. So motion by Fuller, second by Buckley to approve the minutes of August 10th. Any further discussion? Not all in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? Seeing none, motion carries. So those minutes are approved. So next item is correspondence, board reports and presentations. Thering is not here, so I'm assuming we'll skip that. Plus he had a report on the 10th. I guess I'll ask Ryan, do you want to, I know what the report will be, but do you want to say it or no? I saw the newspaper. You have a couple of actual items coming up.
Yeah, we are still waiting on that September meeting. It is the first week of September, so I'll have something to report for our next regularly scheduled meeting.
Right. But I mean, I think that there are going to be at least 2 agenda items because there was one of those notices in the newspaper recently.
Yep.
Okay. Any questions for our representative to the ZBA? All right. Seeing none, thank you. Darren, updates from Sidewalks and Pathways. Again, it's just been a week. If nothing's happened in the last week, that's fine.
Correct. Nothing's happened in the last week.
Okay. So then item D, I don't know exactly why it was stuck here, but we'll take it where it was put. We have, so when we made our last appointments to the Sidewalks and Pathways Committee, those, just because of how things fell, those appointments were for terms that ran through August 15th, all right, which was Sunday. So we need to make appointments again. We need to either reappoint those people or not, but their terms are expiring. So I know one of them, there's a conflict of interest, so I'll recognize Commissioner Lapp.
Yes, I have a conflict of interest since my spouse has applied to serve on that committee.
Okay. Can you remind me, when we did this the previous time, did you participate in none of it, or did you simply participate only in the, not in the part relating to your husband?
I thought I was moved over to the observer status for the whole thing.
Okay, well, probably because we were doing them, we had 3 candidates and we were selecting from them. This is a little bit of a different situation, but if that's, if you're comfortable with that, we can do it that way. So,
That's fine.
yeah, I mean, that spouse is a clear, it's in our list. It's a clear conflict of interest. So if we want to temporarily banish Commissioner Lapp, that's fine.
I will go ahead and make the change.
Okay. All right. So Rodney can confirm this, but my understanding is that the 2 folks that we appointed a few months back have submitted applications to continue, and they're the only folks that have applications at the present time. Is that right?
That is correct.
Okay. And I think, you know, I don't think we intended when we appointed them to have them serve for only 2 months. So we can take them one at a time. They are, help me out on there's Jeff
Seiler and Phil
Seiler.
Hertzler.
Yes, Phil, I know, but Jeff Seiler, we'll take them one at a time. So Jeff Seiler, I would entertain a motion to appoint Jeff Seiler. Now his term, the term he's being appointed to would be for what period of time? Is it a year or 2 years? Do we know?
It is I believe it's a full term.
But I mean, I guess I'm wondering if they're staggered. Are there any that are only 1 year, or are they all 2-year terms, or?
Well, they are staggered. So the other terms have different deadlines. I don't recall the term right offhand, if it's 2 or 3 years. I can't recall right offhand, but the
Okay,
terms of the whole committee are staggered, so we won't see all of them at the same time.
okay. Peter, do you happen to know? Okay. I don't know if it's critical that it be in the minutes, but I think it might be. I mean, if we can have that information, it might be.
On the Board of Expiration dates, it says the Sidewalk and Pathways it's a 2-year term.
Ah, yes, that's a good idea. We'll look at that. Okay, yeah, it appears that they're all 2-year terms. So then the motion, if someone would so move, would be to appoint Jeff Seiler to a term on the Sidewalks and Pathways Prioritization Committee to run through August 15th of 2023.
So moved.
And supported.
Okay, so the motion was by LaBelle with a second by Darren to appoint Jeff Seiler to let's see, to one of the township resident positions on the Sidewalks and Pathways Prioritization Committee for a 2-year term running through 8/15/2023. Any discussion? All right, if not, then I'll ask for a roll call vote, please.
Fuller,
Yes.
Darren,
Yes.
Squadrito,
Yes,
Lap.
Lap is not
Oh,
participating.
I'm sorry.
Problem.
Buckley,
He was muted.
Yes.
okay. Albrecht,
Yes.
LaBelle.
Yes.
Okay. Motion carried.
Okay, that was 6 votes.
Six.
Yeah, 6, yes. Okay. All right, very good. Thank you. And so then the other position is Phil Hertzler, which is an at-large position, meaning it's not required to be a township resident, although I think he is. And that one would also be a 2-year term to run through 8/15/2023. So would anyone care to move that?
So moved.
And supported.
Okay, I heard them. Who made the motion? Okay, so a motion by Fuller, support by Darren to appoint Phil Hertzler to the at-large position on the Sidewalks and Pathways Prioritization Committee for a 2-year term ending 8/15/2023. Any further discussion? All right, if not, then we'll have a roll call vote, please.
Buckley,
Yes.
Albrecht,
Yes.
LaBelle,
Yes.
Fuller,
Yes.
Darren,
Yes.
Squadrito.
Yes,
All right, that's 6-0.
excellent.
Motion carried.
Very good, thank you. So you can bring Jessica back over.
Is on her way.
Welcome back.
Thank you.
Do you have any jet lag? Yes, it's probably the same time zone, so maybe not, but I'm always curious with those travels. So, Mr. Darren has his hand up.
I was asked to up my tenure on the planning commission, or I'm sorry, not planning, on the Sidewalks and Pathways. And I kind of wanted to talk to our commission about that because I'm planning on resigning the planning commission when my tenure's up in February. And I wanted to get input from our commission as to whether or not they would rather have somebody else step into that position as representative of the planning commission, or would they like me to finish out till February, and at that point, you guys would have to take on appointing another representative.
Okay. All right. Well, okay, so what you're saying is after the next time you meet or the next time you all have a chance to talk, you may come back to us with a request that we possibly appoint us a different representative.
And I was understanding Tara had sent me the application again for me to fill out and I think I was filling in for Denise.
I sent that to you on accident. I meant to send it to Jeff. And I think I sent it to you.
Then no problem then.
I realized that afterwards. I thought, oh well.
Okay, well then we don't have a problem. So
Okay. When we send representatives to other bodies, that person's term, I think, coincides with their term on the commission.
okay, that
So-
makes perfect sense.
Yeah, so you're not expiring for a while yet.
Okay, perfect.
Okay.
And you have a vision of the future. So
I guess it's your background tonight, right? It's the Milky Way or something. All right. Okay, so thanks for that. So the next item is public comment. So before we get to our actual business items, we have public comment on items that are not on tonight's agenda. So if there's anyone out there who would like to address the Planning Commission on any item, whether that's not on tonight's agenda, they're invited to do so at this time. We just ask you hit your raise hand button. We'll recognize you, bring you across. We just ask you to give us your name and address for the minutes and limit your comments to 3 minutes. So, and we'll have a more extended public comment later, but this public comment on non-agenda items is open at 7:17. I think for me anyway, the raise hand button is down on the bottom panel there. I'm going to assume that all of our attendees are here for the agenda items. So not seeing any, we'll go ahead and close that back up at 7:18. So now we can move to our agenda items. So the first one is going to be the Dollar General retail store on East Pickard Road, PSPR 21-13. This is the final site plan application. They've made some revisions to the preliminary site plan, which we looked at, was it last month? Recently. All right. So if you want to bring those folks across, if there's folks here for that.
I will do that.
Okay. The two Scotts are now in the room. Can y'all hear us?
I can hear you just fine, thank you.
Okay. All right. So we've got as the first item updates from staff and the applicant. So I'll ask first to Rodney and or Peter. You've given us obviously the written report. Is there anything you'd like to add to that?
No, I just would note you have our August 10th report. We did review the updated final site plan. And as you can see in the packet, the applicant has responded to your comments and staff comments. The facade is significantly updated, the building design from what you saw initially. We really only had two items. One is that we have not yet received
documentation from all the outside agencies that are involved. That is normally a requirement of final site plan approval, but it is something we're comfortable in this case that those outside agencies are not going, any changes they might have are not going to affect the overall site design. So we're comfortable with recommending this project for conditional approval. The other item was just a note about landscaping. The landscaping does comply with the ordinance. Peter Gallané, our zoning administrator, talked with the applicant about moving a few trees that they added to provide better screening on the south side of the site. And the applicant agreed that they could do that. So we just noted in our report that potential change and made it one of the two conditions. So we have recommended for final site plan approval, subject to the approval from the Public Services Department prior to building permit approval, and also submittal of an updated final site plan that includes that landscaping change. Again, is prior to building permit approval. With that, I'm happy to answer any questions that come up.
Okay. And I'll ask the applicants, is there anything you'd like to add before we move into just general questions?
Scott Joswiak, I'll defer to you if you wish to add anything. Otherwise, I'm just here. Scott Knowlton is just here to answer any questions that the board may have.
Okay, thank you.
I'm all set. I don't know if there's anything I need to add. So I think you guys did a great job. So thank you.
Okay, thanks very much. So site plan is before us. We know what we need to do, so it is open for discussion by the commissioners. Will have the folks stay over here to answer any questions while we're dealing with that. I guess I'll ask one. Obviously, as was pointed out, one of the major changes is the exterior of the building. The horizontal siding, actually probably both the vertical and horizontal siding. What material is that? Is that vinyl siding or is it something else? Yeah, all this siding that we're now seeing. Just wondering what it is.
Scott Knowlton, do you have that?
I do not know.
I know Pete. We can get that answered here real quick. Just stand by.
Yeah, Pete's in Wisconsin at a meeting, so I don't know if he'll be able to respond right away. I will text him right now and see if he responds.
Okay.
Sorry about not knowing that.
I'll ask commissioners too to actually, well, actually now that I've got the tiled window back. Before, when he was showing the thing, it disappeared. So I was going to ask people to hit their raise hand buttons if they had a question.
It is a wood framed building with vinyl siding, and the colors are very lightly detailed or small. It's a dark bronze, and the horizontal siding is a sandstone.
Right. Okay. Yeah. The colors were mentioned on the plan, but it just didn't mention. And it refers to siding, but it didn't mention, I assumed it might have been vinyl, but it wasn't clear. So thank you for that.
You're welcome.
Other questions?
I noticed on the landscape plan, there's a note for a 6-foot privacy fence along the south property line. Doesn't really show the extent on the site plan. I'm assuming the intent is to provide a screen between the residential use property to the south.
Yeah, originally, on the landscape plan, I see a erroneous note pointing kind of to the property line. And during Peter's review, he asked that we move that up to the setback line. So the fence line mimics the setback line very closely, and it's labeled correctly on the sheet C12, right? Yeah, C1.2. And it goes from the front setback of Florence and all the way back to within a few feet of the west property line.
Okay, I do see that now.
Okay, Commissioner Darren?
On the side elevation where the mechanical equipment is located, surrounded with the privacy fence, is there no intent to have any task lighting or down there for in case there's issues with mechanical equipment?
I don't think that there would be any task lighting located there. If there's work needs to be done at night, they're gonna have to bring their own lighting materials.
Okay.
Just so I'm clear, this is really more of a question for, I think, Rodney and Peter. The 3 trees you're talking about moving are these here? So that it makes a more of a straight up down line rather than curving off like that, is that right?
No, the location of the 3 extra trees would be all the way to the southeast where the entrance is off of Florence Street. There's a residential house there, and so by adding the 3 additional trees there, it'll create a better evergreen kind of screening for the residential neighbor.
Okay. Is that over here then? Are you talking about the ones? Let
me pull up that plan again. Here, I'll share the landscape plan sheet. So I think, Peter, these were the trees that you were looking at moving, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah. And the idea would be that they'd end up in filling in gaps along the row to the south of the drive.
Oh, okay. All right. All right. So it is those trees, but you're talking about putting them somewhere else, not just moving them.
Right.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. So they'd end up along somewhere along the south side of this access drive.
Well, that
just to give you, let me,
The point there, I mean, this is the whole facility, right? There's not much more, there's not more that we're not seeing on.
right.
What is sheet C1 too, Rodney? I think that might just give an overall view.
There we go.
Yeah. So there is a existing vegetation along this row here, but as you can see, there's some gaps. And so the idea was to use these trees to kind of fill in the gaps a little bit to create a more solid screen. There will be the fence that's along here. So these trees would, whether they're on this side of the fence or on the other side of the fence, that would be worked out, I think, in the field. But the idea would be to have them fill in the gaps for that existing vegetation down there.
Okay. Are the existing, is the fence going to be to the north of the existing trees or to the south of the existing trees?
To the north.
Yeah. To the north, all right.
And that was because to put the fence on the property line would really require removal of much of that vegetation, because much of it is growing right at the property line.
Okay.
So bringing it into the setback line allows it to avoid damaging that existing material.
Yeah, all right. Very good, thank you. Other questions from folks? Does seem pretty straightforward. We can have a motion if anyone is ready.
I'll make the motion to approve the PSRP 21-13 final site plan for the Dollar General store on parcel number 14-146-00-003-00 and -005-00, located on approximately 1.574 acres on the south side of East Pickard Road, M20, east of Isabella Road, on the northwest quarter of section 13, and in the end of and in the B7 retail and service highway business zoning district, finding that the July 7th, 2021 site plan can comply with applicable zoning ordinance requirements for final site plan approval, including section 14.2 point P, required site plan information, and 14.2 point S, standards for site plan approval, subject to the following conditions. Township Public Service Department approval prior to issue a building permit for this project. Submittal of the revised final site plan with landscaping location adjustments for administrative review and acceptance by the zoning administrator prior to issuance of the building permit.
Okay, so you heard the motion by Commissioner Fuller to approve the site plan with the stated conditions. Is there a second?
A second.
Second is by Albrecht. Further discussion? If not, then I'll ask for a roll call vote, please.
Lap,
Yes.
LaBelle,
Yes.
Squadrido,
Yes.
Albrecht,
Yes.
Buckley,
Yes.
Darren,
Yes.
and Fuller.
Yes.
Okay, motion carries 7-0.
Okay, thank you. So,
Thank you, everybody.
yep, you're quite welcome. Good luck with the project.
Thanks, everybody. Really appreciate it. Have a great night.
Thanks, you too. All right. Next item is PSPR 21-14 and 21-16. So this is, we had the preliminary site plan at a previous meeting, but we postponed it because I believe the representatives weren't available, or at least they weren't in attendance. And they've since, I guess, submitted the final site plan, and so they're now combined. And so it's up for possible approval of both the preliminary and combined site plans. So are there folks, the remaining folks are those folks? If so, let's go ahead and bring them across.
I'll do that.
Hi there, can you hear us okay?
I can hear you.
Okay, and then Mr. Ham, can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you fine. Thank you.
All right. Okay. So as I was mentioning, we had the preliminary before. It was pretty preliminary, and then the final is much more detailed and thorough. So, but since we haven't really, deliberated on it before, I guess I'll ask for an introduction and from Rodney and or Peter, and then we'll ask the applicant to kind of introduce their project, and then we'll move to questions.
I'll just give a quick introduction. You have our August 9th report. As the chair mentioned, that we did receive this back now before you as a combined preliminary and final site plan review. This is part of the ongoing efforts by the applicants to update and improve what used to be called the Pleasant Ridge Mobile Home Park. It's now called Summer Hill Village. They have been doing a great deal of work there, upgrading that site, and this new clubhouse and office facility is the next step in that process. This is an older mobile home park site. And as such, it falls under a provision in our new ordinance that's referred to as non-conforming sites. And that term simply means that it's a site that was developed long before our current ordinance requirements were in place. So it may the character and layout of the site may not fully meet our current requirements, parking, landscaping, lighting, that sort of thing. And this section 12.5 non-conforming sites allows you to review a project like that, where they do not fix everything, but instead target certain improvements. The ordinance, the section targets number 1, public safety deficiencies, and requires that any public safety deficiencies be corrected. It then has a set of 10 broad categories of potential improvements. And section directs that the applicant resolve or address at least 3 of those categories. So in our report, we do note that they are taking care of the public safety concerns in this case, which are primarily barrier-free access, but also improving the vehicular access right to the parking lot. Right now, there's essentially an undefined vehicle access from the internal roads into the parking area. The proposed plan would define those driveways much more narrowly, create a better traffic flow through the site. And in addition to that, they have we noted 3 categories that they've satisfied One of those is related to the building itself, significant improvement to the building with the new building there. Second one related to landscaping improvements and site beautification. And then the third one related to exterior lighting improvements. On that third category, we did make a note that we needed a little bit more information. And the applicants indicated they can provide that additional detail. So from there, beyond that, we the rest of our report just covers the usual items that would come up as part of a site plan review. The one that we noted is that as part of a final site plan, that they are required to have those outside agency reviews done. In this case, those are still pending. We actually did have one item that just came up today, and that was related to the Isabella County Transportation Commission. They do have an existing bus shelter in the parking lot that was not proposed to remain on the plan that you have before you. And in discussion with the Transportation Commission, there was a consensus and interest to provide for that. And so the applicant had, I think Mr. Rob Lamer will speak to that topic and what he's discussed with the Transportation Commission. But anyway, those agency approvals are outstanding. So you do have the option to approve this as a preliminary site plan. If you would like to see those agency approvals in place ahead of time, or you could approve it as a conditional approval on the final and allow the zoning administrator, Peter Galladay, to take care of making sure those items are resolved. With that, we've recommended it for a combined approval, subject to those details being taken care of. And I'm happy to answer any questions that come up.
Okay, thank you. So then I'll turn it over to the applicant to anything you'd like to say by way of introductory remarks before we move to questions.
Yeah, thank you for having us on the agenda tonight. I'm Rob Lamer. I'm with Excel Engineering. I've been working with Four Leaf on a lot of their mobile home parks lately, and this one came up after it was originally submitted that I should be involved with it. So we've kind of taken up the lead in how that's going to work from the site plan standpoint, because there was a little more site plan work to it. But let's start back a little bit. The Four Leaf is the owner of the mobile home park, and they'd like to replace the existing community building there. What they'd like to do is they'd like to keep the existing one in operation until the new one's built, and then move to demo the other one. So that's why it's positioned where it is, to try to be separated from that existing building a little bit. And honestly, there's a lot of room there, and that opens it up for us to be able to do a little bit of what we're trying to do with that traffic pattern there. So I think that's a good plan. When I dropped plans off at the township, I took a little jaunt out there. We're from Grand Rapids area, so I don't get out this way so much. And it was pretty obvious to me that there's a bus shelter there. And so I quickly tried to figure out if that was still in operation. It is, and I don't think anyone ever had any intention of having it go away. It just was missed on my part because I didn't realize that it was there. So do you have the plan that I emailed you this morning, Rodney? I don't know if it's appropriate to pull that up, but I'd like you to have you take a look at that so you can see if anybody has any questions of what's there, what's not there. So the bus shelter is noted right there, you know, and we'll probably make those driveways. We got to make sure a bus can turn in there, but the idea is to keep that there and keep that in operation. My understanding is it's not only used as a bus stop for public transportation, but also for the kids on certain mornings or certain times a day, I guess, when the other bus isn't there, but they use that for both. So we're going to keep that in a nice, safe format of what they're doing. And honestly, I think we can do that pretty easily. So keep that in mind. We've made contact with the other agencies too. For utilities, basically, we're going to just extend the sewer and water off the same mains that the existing building has, and where there are are not really good record drawings out there. So we're gonna have to do some serious investigation when we start looking at demoing the other building. But there certainly isn't really an increase in use of sewer and water. It's just a replacement. Drain office has been contacted from an impervious area. We're probably reducing the impervious area by taking out some of that pavement that's there. Building is a little bit larger, but for the most part, it's the same size. If we have to provide detention, we'll obviously satisfy that. Then there was a fourth agency, the fire inspector said he didn't see any problems with it. So we've been working through with those agencies as we're waiting for this meeting. Once I get your comments here, if you have anything that you recommend or need change from this drawing, we'll start making revisions all at once with everybody's comments in one go around instead of trying to piecemeal it from agency to agency. So if you've got any questions, feel free to ask. Fred Ham's here, he can answer more things about the building. I'm here for the site work. Thank you.
Okay, thanks very much. So it is open for questions from commissioners. I guess I'll ask my same question. I'm looking at the elevation. It seems like a nice looking building. It looks like there's some sort of layered stone. I'm guessing that's probably a stone facade, the lower part. Is that right?
Yeah, so that's a cultured stone that we put on the lower 36 inches, and then it extends up into the gable end, and it's got some really nice cedar detail on the front as well. Those are all cedar beams.
Yeah, so then, oh yes, I see that. But then the main front of the building above that first 3 feet, it looks to be some sort of shingle, but I can't find anywhere where it tells me what that is.
That's a 7-inch staggered shake. It's a vinyl siding.
Oh, okay.
So this will be the second building we've done for these folks, and it's a super good looking building when it's done, and it's going to be a beautiful addition to their park, definitely.
Okay. So it's a vinyl siding that's meant to, perhaps from a distance, to kind of texturally look like cedar shakes or something like that.
Yes.
Oh, okay. Interesting. Commissioner Fuller.
I believe our ordinance calls for some sort of wheel stop or curbing along outside edges. Wonder if that shouldn't be added to a final site plan.
The ordinance used to, it does not require that now.
Does not now, okay.
We decided to be freewheeling henceforth, right?
Snowplow drivers will love that.
What about exterior lighting on the building?
We provided a photometric plan showing what happens on there. But Fred, you can probably answer if it's on the building.
Yeah, typically on the buildings in the past, we've put some can lighting in the soffits around the front, and then our new site lighting plan has some site lighting as well that will go together with that.
Okay. Yeah, I see the.
And then if you've noticed, they've got like a cupola on the top that we typically put a light in there. That'll bring some light to the site, but not a whole lot. Decorative more than anything.
Okay. Yeah, I see the photometric, and I see the light poles that are shown on the photometric plan. But if there are going to be exterior lights on the building, and this is really a question for Rodney, don't those need to be included on the site plan, or shouldn't they be?
So let me show you the electrical plan sheet here. You have the recess lighting that Fred mentioned is here in the front porch. You can see the two fixtures here. The only other exterior lights are at the entrances, and these would typically be a small scale fixtures that our ordinance does not regulate. They're just essentially exit lights. So from the perspective of the photometric plan, what they've provided, other than we need an elevation detail of the light pole, which they said they can add without any trouble, the photometric plan is consistent with our ordinance.
Okay, all right. Always good to have sound effects. Maybe, I mean, this isn't necessarily germane to what you've presented right now, but I noticed you do show a future entrance off of Deerfield.
Where is that?
I'm sorry?
I'm not sure where that is. The only thing proposed is here. If there's something that's future, it's probably there more as a future, like far future.
Okay.
We are not proposing any new entrances anywhere that I'm aware of.
Yeah, I knew it wasn't on this project, but I was just curious about it, what the intention was with that.
Four Leaf bought this, is my understanding, fairly recently, and I've worked with them now. I think this is maybe the fourth or fifth one that I've been involved with them on. They like to come back and update things and make things what they need to be. I have not been involved with the original design of this, so I have no idea what the status of or the thought process there was. I can tell you the park today probably is, I would guess, 20% full. It's not very full at the moment. I see this as probably just a first step in a lot of steps out here. And yeah, so they'd like to get moving and show that the place is hopping with new stuff, and that'll attract new people back in and keep moving along. So.
Other questions from commissioners? So am I correct that there's no external dumpster currently at the site?
No, I don't think there's a dumpster out there today.
And there's
Right.
not
one proposed either.
Right.
The community building is, if you think about it, it's just for birthday parties, family gatherings from people in the community. So you're not what I would say, producing a lot of trash. And, that there is probably a trash receptacle for this building that they use just like common residences use.
Commissioner Buckley.
If it feels like maybe we've got most questions answered, I'd like to put a motion on the board just to get us into a deliberation stage at least. So I'd make a motion to approve PSPR 2114 and PSPR 2116, combined preliminary and final site plan for the new clubhouse and parking lot improvements at the Summerhill Village Mobile Home Park on parcel number 14-034-20-001-00, located at 5280 South Mission Road in the northeast quarter of section 34. And in the R4 Mobile Home Park zoning district, finding that the site plan set with an Excel engineering sheet dated June 30th, 2021, with additional sheets as provided by Atwell Group, Schrock Commercial Construction, and the Dave Baker Agency can comply with applicable zoning ordinance requirements for final site plan approval, including section 14.2.p, required site plan information, 14.2.s, standards for site plan approval, subject to the following conditions. 1, submittal to the zoning administrator of documentation of the missing outside agency approvals from the Mount Pleasant Fire Department, the Isabella County Transportation Commission, and the Township Public Services Department, and the Isabella County Drain Office for stormwater approval prior to the issuance of a building permit, and 2, submittal of a revised final site plan with the missing exterior lighting detail for administrative review and acceptance by the zoning administrator prior to issuance of a building permit.
Okay, so the motion has been made by Buckley to approve both the preliminary and final site plan with the stated conditions. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Commissioner Lapp. Further discussion?
If I may, one question I have, just in terms of the motion, would you like to make a comment about Mr. Lamer's addition of that bus stop drive? You could note that in here, or if you're comfortable with it, we can simply address that as part of an administrative acceptance as a change. But if you'd like to add it as a condition in favor of it or against it, you're welcome to.
Commissioner Law, yes, I failed to consider that, Rodney. I'd like to see it. It sounds like they are amenable to actually including it. I don't mind amending my motion to require that as a condition. If Commissioner Lapp is in agreement.
Yep, I'm in agreement.
Okay. Can we assume that those folks who are writing notes will have verbiage in there, or if anyone wants to state what they are proposing to use as verbiage, that might help.
What I just was making a note here, simply as a condition 3, include completion of bus stop improvements on the revised site plan. Very, very simple. That works.
I'm comfortable with that.
Okay. Commissioner LaBelle, comment?
Yeah, Rodney, just wanted to confirm that a dumpster enclosure or place for a dumpster enclosure is not required for the site plan.
That is correct. If they have a dumpster, then they need an enclosure. If they are not proposing an exterior trash storage, then they don't need to have an enclosure.
Okay. And it doesn't appear that they currently have one on site, so they wouldn't need to do anything by adding that there.
That's correct. Yeah.
Perfect.
Now, in the future, if they add a dumpster, they are going to have to address that issue. But for the moment, they don't have one on the site, and they're not proposing one, so it's not required.
Okay, perfect. Just wanted to clarify. That's what I thought. Just wanted to clarify. Thank you.
Okay. So again, the motion's on the floor to approve with the now 3 stated conditions, including the little extra drive for the bus to turn around in at where the bus stop is currently located. Any other comments or discussion? Okay, if not, then I'll ask for a roll call vote, please.
Squattrito, I'm sorry.
Yes.
Albrecht,
Yes.
Buckley,
Yes.
LaBelle,
Yes.
Darren,
Yes.
Fuller,
Yes.
and Lap.
Yes.
Motion carries 7-0.
Very good. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Have a great night.
Yep. Thank you all. Good luck with it.
Thank you.
I remember that that park. I mean, that park's been there a long time. It was there when I moved to Mount Pleasant 30 years ago. And those of you who've been here longer probably remember it's been years since I've been in there, but it's nice to see that there might be, might be something nice going on down there. Okay, so we have one more new business item, which is to take up, and we're actually at a short time tonight, so we have a little bit of time to discuss it. The question about our meeting status and whether to continue to meet this way or whether to move to face-to-face meetings. So you have in your packet a memo from Rodney outlining those two possibilities. As you know, the Board of Trustees started meeting in person at the end of August, so they've met, I think, twice now in person. And we could do that, or we could continue with the electronic meetings through the end of the year. So that is on the table for discussion now. Commissioner Lapp.
I'm not sure I'm ready to make a motion, but I guess I would be interested in seeing this discussion tabled until September. We know already that numbers are starting to creep up in Isabella County, and we have the public schools starting next week, and we have CMU starting the following week. I think it's very likely we will see a more dramatic increase of numbers. If we don't, that would be great, but I think September would be a better time to make that decision about returning to in-person meetings. I think then you'd have a much better idea of where the curve is for Isabella County as to whether in-person meetings would be a logical and something that we could do again safely.
Okay. Let me just ask Rodney, is this a decision that can be a rolling decision, or do we have to make a yes or no decision? Because the way the memo was outlined, it was an either or sort of thing.
So you can choose to do nothing, and we can continue in this format until through the December meeting. The Open Meetings Act allows us to do this because of Isabella County's emergency declaration all the way through our December meeting. After that, unless the state legislature makes a change, we would have to go back to in-person meetings in January. You do not need to make a decision tonight. You can hold this off. You could even postpone it beyond September. I will say this, that when I wrote the memo, I wasn't thinking about our public hearing in September. And we probably should just keep that public hearing on the remote basis. I don't expect to have a large number of people, but we could have some attendees. And so it might be better to simply keep the September meeting on Zoom. But if you choose to, you could postpone this to discussion in September or October. And as I said, you could choose to do nothing, and we can continue in this format for as long as the Open Meetings Act allows us to.
Mm-hmm. Commissioner Buckley.
I appreciate Commissioner Lapp's concern about potentially holding off on making a decision until September. I'm wondering if I guess I'm wondering what the vibe of the Planning Commission is in general. In my mind, I'm comfortable out of an abundance of caution I'm comfortable with keeping it through the emergency order, keeping it in a remote online setting. I understand if it looks like maybe the commission is thinking they want to go back, then maybe we could kind of wait to see what members do. But is there enough? Are commissioners in general okay with remaining online and just kind of defaulting to that position?
I kind of agree with Ryan. I feel it's not just us. It's everybody that we ask to come to our meetings. And because we don't have the tools in place at the township hall, I feel that we're doing them a disservice by asking them to come and present to us, or even during public hearings, asking people to come in and talk to us. So I'm all for keeping this remote access and until further notice.
Commissioner LaBelle?
Yeah, I'm okay with doing the Zoom meetings as well. I prefer the in-person meetings, but the Zoom is just fine. So I'm pretty flexible with either one.
Okay. Anybody else want to weigh in? Commissioner Fuller?
Yeah, and I'm okay extending the electronic meetings to the county's emergency declaration.
Yeah, my position is if you had asked me in June, I would have been probably much more in favor of moving back to in-person meetings, but I don't think it makes any sense to do it right now. And so I'm much more inclined to prefer to wait and see where we are, even 2 weeks from now, 3 weeks from now, a month from now, whenever. Commissioner Lapp.
I would like to make a motion then to continue electronic meetings through December 31st, 2021, as long as the county's emergency declaration remains in effect.
Support.
Mhm.
Okay, so there was a motion by Lapp with a second by Buckley to continue our electronic meeting format through December 31st, as long as the county's emergency declaration remains in effect. Discussion. So I just want to clarify for my own, I guess, information. So the county made an emergency declaration, but the state has set whatever the state did sunsets on December 31st. Is that right?
That's correct.
So even if the county were inclined to continue the emergency, unless the state legislature also takes action, it won't actually be possible to have online meetings of this type. Is that right?
That is correct. Yes. After December 31st, the Open Meetings Act has only 2 exceptions for remote participation, and that's for a military member who is deployed. And I believe the other one is related to illness. And even the illness case, I think, is pretty limited. And that would only be for a commissioner to be remote, while you still would need to have a quorum of members present in person in order for that to work.
Okay. So unless we can get Joe Biden to send us all to Afghanistan, or if some other weird thing were to happen, we might be a little bit up the creek. Well, I guess there's always outdoor meetings. It'd be January, but we really want ventilation. Other discussion? All right, so we're taking an action, so we'll ask for a roll call vote then.
I'm sorry, there's cleaners in here, so I muted myself. Darren,
Yes.
Buckley,
Yes.
Albrecht,
Yes.
Fuller,
Yes.
Lapp,
Yes.
LaBelle,
Yes.
Squadrito.
Yes.
All right, motion carried 7-0.
Okay. All right, so we'll continue in the current vein for a while yet. Let's see. So we don't have any other business. Extended public comment. If there's anybody who'd like to address the planning commission on any item, whether it was on tonight's agenda or not, make yourself known. You're welcome to do so at this time. Just give us your name and address for the minutes and limit your comments to 5 minutes. Extended public comment on any item is open at 8:10. And we have no attendees, so we'll go ahead and close that back up. Also at 8:10. And final board comment. Comments from board members? This is our shortest meeting in a while, so enjoy it. What is the what's the September 21st agenda looking like?
At this point, we only have the public hearing on the zoning ordinance amendments for September.
Oh.
There is potential yet for another application come in. We have about another week or so. I think it's the 26th or 27th, I think, is our deadline for that agenda. So, but
Okay.
there's nothing in the pipeline at the moment.
Okay. Is it possible we'll see the master plan for the parks and recreation, or do you think that's still a ways off?
I'm aiming to do that. Yes, and I've been as we've talked about. We need to get it on there, but also because it would be a good time to do it since we have a light agenda. So
Okay.
yes, you will see something for that.
All right. Commissioner Darren.
I will not be at the September meeting. Just wanted to let you know.
We'll miss you.
I'm going to be on vacation. Not thinking of you guys.
September is actually, I think it's an overlooked, I mean, some of our best weather is sometimes in September. So it's actually a really good, for this part of the country, it can be a really good month for vacations. Unfortunately for folks in school, it's not as much of an option. But
And to that fact, my wife's been working for the schools all her life, and she finally retired. So now we can take vacation when not everybody else is taking vacation. So hopefully we get to enjoy it.
Okay, very good. So anyway, we've completed our agenda. If no one has any other comments, we'll look forward to the September 21st meeting. Oh, I guess, one thing that I was just going to ask was, how is the township publicizing, how is the township going to publicize that public hearing?
So basically following the State Zoning Act, we will be putting notice in the newspaper. We also put it's posted here at the Township Hall, and then we take the extra step beyond the state law requirements and post it on the website so that people can view it that way too.
Okay, post the draft document.
Right. Yeah. What we generally do on the website is we post the notice and the draft document together under announcements. So when you click on the notice file, you'll get the whole thing.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I hope people see that, and I hope that they take the time to read through it, because it seems like with the master plan, we went through the whole process, and then it was only later after the public hearing that some comments started to kind of come out of the woodwork. So, all right. So again, we've completed our agenda for tonight. So enjoy the rest of your evening, and we'll see everyone who's going to be here in September.
See you later. Bye.
Good night.
Bye, thanks.